So everybody wants to know, what's the future of music licensing? Are the good old days over? Are we heading towards a dark age where nobody's going to make any money and it's just impossible to make your living from it anymore? Or are we on the dawn of, the Wild West here, where there's going to be amazing new industries and opportunities to take hold of, and tons and tons of money to be made with all this new technology and all the new content that's being delivered out there? You guys obviously know my opinion on it. I don't think I'm being unfairly optimistic. I think I'm being realistic in that I'm just seeing the evidence stack up in front of me that there's just more content out there. There's more stuff that needs music in it. So therefore there's going to be more opportunities. Some of them will pay more than others. You can't really judge on that, but I don't think that we have sort of passed the prime of being able to make a living by licensing your music to, sort of video content, or now coming up virtual reality content, video games, that kind of thing. But who cares about my opinion, right? Why don't we listen to some of the bigwigs in the licensing industry? Why don't we actually listen and read their exact words for what they feel is going on? And this is specifically for this year, 2018. So this is an interesting article that I came across. It's called Industry Insights: The Changes Affecting Production Music in 2018. Production music is basically another way to say music for TV film, okay, or music for video content. Essentially, you're making music specifically for somebody to place it behind a piece of video. That's exactly what production music is. So the link's below if you want to check it out yourself. But essentially, this was like a roundtable of a bunch of library heads and CEOs of companies that deal with licensing music. And so basically, they were asked in this roundtable, and we're going to go through their quotes here. What do you think's going on with music licensing? You optimistic? You pessimistic? Lay it on us flat. And these are the people whose livelihoods depend on this industry actually doing well. They can't just keep doing something if they're not making any money. Their companies are going to fold. They'll go bankrupt. So I think these are pretty honest opinions as far as, like, if they think it's not worth it, they probably all will be saying, get out now. It's over. Let's not do this. Like, it's just whatever. We had a nice little run, but it's just the good old days are just long behind us. Or maybe they're going to say something like, there's going to be some opportunities to go forward. Let's look for those opportunities, and we're going to work to do that. Or maybe they're just kind of agnostic. We don't really know. We're just going to kind of wait and see. So let's look at some of these quotes here. So this is from Ron Goldberg of Manhattan Production Music. He says, "Unfortunately, I'm seeing a continued race to the bottom due to newer libraries not taking any sync fees that devalue the business for everyone else." So what he's talking about there is that there are different business models that certain music libraries can take in order to attract clients, right? Like, you as a music producer, you're trying to get into libraries. So those are your clients. You're trying to stack up maybe 2 or 3 different libraries you could be submitting to all the time. Libraries, what they have to do is go out and get clients that either are production companies that are making reality TV shows, or trailer houses, or film producers, or TV show producers, or web producers, content, Netflix, Amazon, anybody who's putting out content, even radio. Essentially, a library, their job is to go make relationships, wine and dine these people, and say, hey, for whatever your music needs are, we got you covered. We got a great catalog. We're always supplying it with new awesome music. It's easy to use, easy to find. And if you need something custom, we'll get it to you right away, right? So that's their job. They're trying to do that. Some libraries will charge the upfront sync fee to say, like, if you want to use our music, you're going to have to pay us a sync fee, essentially, to get some of our music. So either it could be a blanket fee where it's like, hey, you give us this amount of money and you can use as much as you want for the quarter, for the year. There's a bunch of different sort of structures for the business model, or it can be a per track sync fee paid out. But some libraries, to be more competitive, say, listen, don't worry about the sync fees. We don't care about the sync fees. You can have anything you want instantly right now, put it into your production for free. Okay? Why are they doing that? That seems like a really stupid thing to do, right? Not really, because they are going to be taking the back end for the publishing. That's typically where libraries are going to be making a lot of their money, right? So when they get tracks placed in a TV show, they get a part of the royalties. You as a songwriter typically are going to get 100% of your writer share. You should be getting that unless you co-wrote with somebody. But the library typically is going to be taking the publisher's share of that, and that's where their money is going to grow. It's passive income. So they know that you can be much more competitive by going, listen, that library is charging you X amount of dollars per blanket, per sync fee, or maybe they're charging you an annual blanket license fee. You sign with us and we've got high quality music, we've got great stuff. You don't pay any of that. So we're going to save you money right now, and we want you to put more music into your production. So the library is smart in that they're foregoing the short-term gains to get the long-term payout later on with those royalty checks with the publishing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So obviously here Ron with Manhattan is probably charging sync fees, and so when he sees new libraries coming up getting more competitive to say, hey, we can do business much cheaper, just put more of our music into your TV shows so our writers get more royalties and we get more royalties to the publishing. He's not a fan of that because he's been used to getting probably a lot of sync fees for his placements. So that's one business model. I'm not saying one's better, one's worse, but it's not dumb to not charge up front. Okay, there could be a longer term strategy that could actually make you more money in the long run because you're being more competitive. And anybody in any industry can figure that out, can see that, like, yes, if you can come in and be the cheaper solution for people, you might make less money in the front end, but you're going to be absorbing more of the market share. And then later on, you'll actually have more profits. Okay, so it's just a longer term strategy. That's all he's talking about there. Here's Aaron Grant from Warner Chappell. Okay, pretty big, one of the biggest catalogs out there. Let's see what he says. Traditional broadcasters are met with more and more competition for market share. Overall, there has been an increase in new productions from new production companies, which is creating more competition for viewers around the globe. There are a large and increasing number of music providers out there with a wide range of quality and quantity. Here's the key quote. Quality, new music creation, and curation are increasingly important. Okay, quality. I saw that word in that quote and thought, that's pretty big. There might be a lot more people coming into the business, but that doesn't mean that everybody is making really great music. There might be a lot of libraries and catalogs out there that are supplying karaoke kind of music, okay? Aaron, who's working with one of the biggest catalogs in this industry, is saying quality is king, okay? What's going to separate you either as a composer or as a library is going to be quality. With all these new opportunities coming out there, if you want to start stealing more market share, you got to have high quality tracks, okay? Really good advice to be listening to. Not just cranking out tons and tons of stuff just to have tons of stuff, but making sure your tracks are on par or better than the next guys. You got to be competitive in this business if you want to survive. All right, so here's one from Matt Fonderosa, Video Helper. He says, seems to be the same as the past few years. Lots of web licenses and all media requests. Okay, so he's kind of just seeing that like this web development of content is growing. And so that's where obviously Video Helper is. If you're not familiar, they're pretty much an all online process. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see that. All right, Killer Tracks. Anna Maria Hall of Killer Tracks. Kind of a big deal. You probably should listen to what they're saying. She says, we expect tremendous growth in social media videos for content and advertising. It could be micro, short form, less than 10 seconds. And we are providing our clients with shorter cut down versions of tracks to accommodate them. Okay. So I've talked about providing those alt mixes, right? You've seen probably some of my tutorials where I've talked about that. That's why you got to get great at making awesome stings, 30-second, 60-second versions, because you don't know what the next opportunity is going to be for somebody to use your track. So you got to make sure that you're able to deliver really solid versions of your songs in these cut down versions, or, you know, the no lead version, drum and bass, etc., etc. Stuff you just have to have down. Like it has to be habit for you to be able to create those alt mixes when you're done with your music. APM Music, Adam Tyler, big catalog, okay? He said that he was seeing an enormous increase in the amount of production happening around the world, which opens up the production universe to a much greater number of producers at every level, from amateur to professional. Yeah, Adam's basically talking about me. That's basically me right there. I got started at the time when, you know, the industry was kind of first starting to open up to do producers, and because you could actually create like really high quality tracks with the technology from home, it became something you could do. And now you can absolutely do it because everybody can afford a Logic Pro program for $200. Okay, if you can't go take a loan from a family member, you can get something right now very cheaply and make music that is on par with what's going on TV right now. Okay, so absolutely. So the average Joe like me, I'm nothing special. I just worked really hard and kept working really hard for years and years until I sort of made, you know, high quality licensable music my norm. That's just what I do now when I make music. Okay, but that's only thanks to the technology that allowed me to do this. So obviously Adam's kind of noticing on that. Here's Ron Mendelsohn of Megatracks. Big library if you're not familiar with them. He says, we are seeing a strong sync market and a healthy demand for music based on all new digital platforms and growing economy. Okay, is he being wildly optimistic and, oh my gosh, you know, Ron, why are you so flowery and rosy? Okay, it's not that great. I mean, you guys take it for what it is. These are the people that have money on the line. They have their reputations on the line. They've invested in these companies. They're probably shareholders. They probably have some ownership in them. And they're feeling good about it. They're feeling good about the economy. I mean, this is actually a direct contradiction to the first quote. He's saying there's a strong sync market coming. So for whatever that reason is, you know, Megatrax maybe has obviously a different strategy than the, I think it was Manhattan Music. So everybody has their own approach to this kind of stuff. But here's somebody saying, good to go. They're seeing a strong, what's it called? Future in this industry. And this is from Stephen Arnold Music. Content is king, and OTT, I think that's over the top. I think that means basically like direct streaming services, so no longer going through, you know, cable, telecommunication companies, that kind of thing. So you're basically getting direct content from content producers. Content is king, and OTT and social is driving the force. We're seeing lots of licensing for digital rights only, okay, which speaks to how people are consuming media these days. So he's basically saying, Whitney, I don't know if that's a man or a woman actually, but essentially what they're saying here is that obviously that's where the future is going. You guys know that. That's nothing new, that people are no longer going to the movies. They're probably no longer watching TV as much. They're going to start streaming their content. Virtual reality is going to start coming out. And so you're going to start seeing a lot of cool stuff happening in that lane as well. So basically more just digital rights essentially is where the whole world is going right now. So you take from it what you will. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you should think about these opinions, and if you should think that they're trying to be, you know, just rosy optimistic, or if they're not telling you the straight truth about it. But I typically, I tend to think that if somebody's livelihood depends on an industry's growth and future, they're going to want to, I mean, you're either going to just jump out because it's like, we're not going forward in this business, or you're going to say, all right, is there something that we can do here? And most, I'd say, you know, other than the first one, who said he's not seeing much of growth in sync fees, everybody else is kind of saying good stuff. That's kind of what I'm seeing. People are saying that there's growth, there's new opportunities. Even one of them saying sync fees are increasing. You know, who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out. But the guys that are doing this full time and have their reputations on the line are actually saying, yeah, we feel good about the future of this business. So I take it as an encouraging sign. I mean, I felt really encouraged after reading this. You know, my opinions are my opinions, and I have my one little area of this business that I deal with. So everybody has their own sort of perspective, and these guys are obviously on the library catalog side of things, and this is what they're seeing. So I just wanted to share this with you. You can read the article for yourself and decide for yourself how you feel about the future of music licensing.